Hi, my name is Maggie Cuna. I am the communications manager with Clowns Without Borders. That 5-minute delay was your April Fool's, I suppose, but not on purpose. um, so I was just working out the technical end of things, and I was hitting one button before the other. Thank you for being here. We are here live on Instagram and YouTube, and we are here to celebrate our Joy Makers. So our Joy Makers are our monthly donors. And you might feel like you are a Joy Maker and you are welcome here. You may not be a monthly donor, but if you feel like you're a Joy Maker, you feel like you believe in the idea of relief through laughter, then thank you for being here. Yes, so I want to tell you a little bit about who our Joy Makers are, and then we have actually two special guests today. We have a Joy Maker who has been with us for 8 years. He started giving monthly in 2016, and he's got a fun story. And we also have a 3-time artist and the producer of our benefit show that happened this weekend in Portland. And so Josie May is with us. Before I bring on Tim Cunningham, our interim executive director, I want to just tell you a little bit about the impact that Joy Makers make. Last year we sent a team to Turkey in just 10 days. And the reason that we were able to do that is because of our Joy Maker program. So when we got to Turkey, people told us that this is the first time that someone has come for our children. And what they were referring to is the emotional and psychological support that they got from the clowns being there and playing with the children. It was something beyond what they had received in the first 7 weeks after the earthquake happened on February 6th. We were there in March, and that was the first time someone had given that kind of support to the kids. And so it was truly exciting, and we couldn't have done it without our Joy Makers, because our Joy Makers allow us to plan ahead. And in fact, the idea is that the sum is bigger than the parts, right? So collectively, our Joy Makers raised over $14,000 last year. And this actually paid for a whole tour. And it's really exciting to think about the impact on a big scale like that. And we want to keep moving down this path, and we want to invite, of course, more people to join us. And we want to begin having community like this. We hope that that this is something that we can continue. We want to have more live events. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is that this month only, we actually are going to be doubling the monthly gifts for the rest of the year. If you join Joy Makers this month, your gift will be doubled throughout 2024 for the rest of the year, thanks to a generous donor who is doubling our monthly gifts. So a little bit about me. I've been with CWB for almost 2 years. I am not a clown. You probably already guessed that. And you might have seen my name pop up if you have our email, if you're on our newsletter and you're getting our newsletters. And you also might have seen me on the blog, or I post lots of emails and posts on social media. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I'm excited to bring on our interim executive director, Tim Cunningham, who is with us right now. He has been on over 20 tours with Clowns Without Borders. Imagine, so he started back in 2002. And yeah, he has served on our board. He has actually been an executive director in the past. So Tim has been with us through and through in so many ways, supporting this organization. And we're really lucky that we have him as our interim executive director and on this call today, on this live today. So I'm going to bring on Tim, and he's going to say hello.
Awesome, Maggie. Thank you. Hey, how are you, Maggie? Good to see you.
Good. Good to see you too.
Right on. Hey, everybody. I'm seeing people hopping on. I've got my live here and live there, and folks are hopping on. It's super exciting. Maggie, thanks for letting me jump in before we bring on two of our other exciting guests for a conversation. And I just want to thank everybody for believing in laughter, for believing in the power of play, and for showing up with us here at Clowns Without Borders. There's a lot that we could talk about and a lot of questions we would love to answer. And I just want to sort of reiterate something that Maggie shared. Our joy makers are really the folks that keep this organization moving. They allow our organization to have partnerships. I see a few of our international partners on this chat as well, listening in. And if you all want to chime in at any point, feel free. It allows us to have the flexibility. So if there is an emergency situation, like Maggie mentioned, the first earthquake in Turkey, and we know that there have been many more, the Joy Makers funding gives us the ability to say yes and quickly. And those of you on this call that are artists know the power of yes and improvisation. And so we're grateful. And something that you didn't mention, Maggie, that keeps resonating with me are joy makers that choose to donate one time every month. That's what we mean a joy maker is. They don't give a ton of money. And I think that's a cool thing too. Our joy makers, many of them donate like $5 a month or $10 a month. And those that can give more do give more. But in supporting Clowns Without Borders, it doesn't take a lot to literally help share thousands of smiles, to bring thousands of laughs to families and communities around the world in partnership. It's not just us as a small organization. We partner with clowns and artists all over the world. Some are on this call today. And I think that's also what makes this work magic. Because if you're breathing, you can laugh. And if you're able to laugh, you can change the way you view the world, the way the world views you. And in this time of just horrific things happening around the planet, we can still laugh. And so, Maggie, thanks for letting me be here. And I look forward to questions that people ask. And I can't wait to meet the other two folks that we're going to get to interview a little bit today on this live stream.
Absolutely. And to your point, Tim, the average donation for our joy makers is $18 a month. So that amount, we currently have 68 joy makers. That amount has allowed us to fund a whole tour. And just imagine if we can continue that momentum, and people can really we want to create a community here, and you all can help us to figure out what that looks like, right? So if you want to put some ideas or questions in the chat, please. Actually, right now, maybe we could take a minute and just invite people to just say hello and wave. And I haven't seen anything come through yet. Here, let me go over here. No, I haven't seen any chats come through. But if you want to tell us, maybe where you're coming from, and if you want to ask a question, Okay, did I already say who our guests are going to be? No, I haven't. Okay.
I see a bunch of hearts, but I don't see the names of our guests yet. Who are our guests, Maggie?
Okay, well, I want to say the names of our guests because the Joy Maker who we have as a special guest, his name is Chip Daly, and oh, hi, someone said hello. Chip has been a Joy Maker with us for 8 years and has experience with clowns, but he continues to give. Well, we want to talk to him directly and ask him, what is it? What is your motivation? What lights you up about Clowns Without Borders? And we also have Josie May, who has been on multiple tours, including the Turkey tour that we were just talking about. She was also in El Salvador this past November. And before this year, she was on a tour in Ecuador. She was our producer for our 25th annual Portland benefit event that just happened this weekend and was very, very exciting event. And she did a great job. And so we're so excited that she's going to be joining us also. So, hi, Elizabeth.
Maggie, we got a greeting from our old friend David out in Seattle. David, side note, I love following your work. I've really appreciated how you've been so closely connected with the clowns for a long time. And Sabine, we got some love from Lana Al Rashid. And Sabine, thanks for highlighting Lana's message as well. We're grateful you're here, Sabine. Talk about someone who's doing amazing work around the world, Sabine Choquer, and running Clown Me In, who will be our partner with our Turkey work. And
Yes.
Maybe Josie might chat a little bit about that too when she hops on.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. Yeah, great. Thank you for reading those, because it seems like we are live on Instagram, but for some reason the chat from Instagram isn't populating over here in our tool. So
all right, I got your Instagram back, Maggie. I'll keep us posted on those chats.
That's
absolutely
perfect. All right, well, maybe this is our moment to bring on Josie and have her join us. All right, so if you'll all help me to welcome Josie May. Hey, Josie!
Hello. Hi, good to see y'all.
Hi, great
Welcome,
to see
Josie.
you. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You had a great weekend, I heard.
It was so fun.
Oh,
yeah, there was lots of music. We had 2 shows. Our MCs, Tom Wall and Benjamin Domas-Crew, came out from Minnesota and Philadelphia to MC the show. And Tom was on a tour in Puebla last year.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So lots of music, lots of laughs.
Maybe we can give people updates on the event, the benefit show over email when we have photos, and we can talk about all the things that happened.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was hoping you would jump in and tell us something that really stayed with you from your tour in either Turkey or El Salvador from this past year, a moment of joy that you witnessed firsthand and would like to share.
Sure. So like Maggie said, we were called to come to Turkey in 10 days. And because of Joy Makers, we were able to make that happen. And it was a wonderful tour where we did 30 shows in 6 days. And something that stood out to me about all 30 of those shows and the parades that preceded them was just how children want to play and need to play and have the right to play. And in a situation with the earthquake where their homes were destroyed. They lost family members. Their reality was completely shifted. Children still find a way to play. So showing up to some of the tent cities, and kids are already playing with soccer balls, and whatever resources they have. And then the clowns come in, and one moment that stands out to me, we had done a show, and I have this moment where I balance a juggling club on my nose and I go down into the splits. And there was a young boy, maybe 6 years old, who, as I'm doing this, is just copying my every move. And he's like jumping into the splits, and he's getting one of his friends next to him to jump into the splits too. And they're kind of like creeping on the stage. So it's like the three of us performing together in the split balance situation. And I think what felt so powerful about that is by coming with the clowns, with Clowns Without Borders, providing this space and this encouragement to keep playing and to participate in that. Was really meaningful to me. And I saw that at many other shows of kids jumping up and down, shouting, clowns, 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 clowns. You mentioned Sabine and Clown Me In, and they have been doing tours in southern Turkey as well. And there were kids there who, they had done a tour like a week or two before us. And then we came, and there was clowns there chanting Sabuni, 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 like Sabine's clown name. And that they remembered that, and that it was such a positive joy that carried through.
Thank you so much. It's always so powerful to hear firsthand stories of and what it is to see that shift, in energy and mood, and the fire that is lit when you all are there. Go ahead.
Can I ask a quick question too? I was just, Josie, one thing in your response that made me jump up and down a little bit in my chair. And also, folks, if you want to type in the chat, if you've got any questions, we'll keep an eye on that too. Josie, you mentioned working with other artists. Can you talk a little bit about what that's like with the Clowns Without Borders work? Like, what's sort of the makeup of the artists that you've performed with, and how does that make the work magical? How's it give it its pop? How does it make it shine?
Well, something I think that is so wonderful about Clowns Without Borders is that they're always partnering with community organizations, and we're working with local performers and local clowns. So I think having a person on in your performance ensemble who speaks the language, knows the culture, and can represent the people that we're working with is really important. It promotes autonomy and is really special. And it's just so fun as an entertainer, as a performer, to meet people from all over the world who are just so skilled. And, you're constantly looking for that complicity with each other, and how can you support each other, creating this funny, engaging, awe-inspiring show in usually, 24 to 48 hours is the rehearsal time we have.
Wow. A lot of improv, it sounds like then. Not a lot of time to plan, just a lot of improvisation, huh?
Yeah. And folks coming with their best acts, We're all professional performers who have prepared a lot. And you learn more from tour to tour. Like, one of my favorite props now is a rope, because not only can you use that to define your space of your stage, but most people know how to jump rope, and that can become a piece of play as well.
I saw that in the images from Turkey. There was a lot of play with the ropes.
Cool.
Very nice. And as you had a very busy month preparing for the benefit show, and maybe you'll have more time for yourself in the coming month. What are some ways that you keep joy a priority in your life?
Good question. Um, I think that presence has a lot to do with that, and finding joy in simple things that are around me and being present with just, yeah. I have a rubber chicken that floats around. I have a little tiny harmonica that zips onto things. And I think it's really easy to be caught in the day to day and finding as many moments as I can to look outside of that and say hello and smile and play with other folks.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love that. Do we have any questions for Josie in the chat?
I'm not seeing any in the chat here on the Instagram side, Maggie. I'm still seeing a lot of hearts and likes and folks hopping on though. So welcome everybody. If you're just jumping on, this is Clowns Without Borders, and we're talking about this month kicking off our Joy Makers campaign and also interviewing a couple amazing clowns about their work with Clowns Without Borders.
Super. All right. Well, I think we're going to keep moving because we were hoping to keep this to about a half an hour. But thank you so much, Josie, for being here. Thank you for sharing your experience on tour, especially. And yes, we'll have you back on some other time, I'm sure.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone.
Bye, Josie. All right. And super, Tim. So yeah, I guess before we bring Chip on, I think we could just welcome people again. Write your questions in the chat. This is your community. This is a space for you. We we want you to feel welcome here. And if you have other ideas, of course, of how we can continue this conversation, whether it's more lives or something else, please tell us about it. You can always email us, but you can tell us right now in the chat. So we are talking about Joy Makers. We're celebrating our monthly donors who we call Joy Makers. Joy Makers can give any dollar amount. It could be $10 a month or $100 a month. This is something that we think of as a collective effort, and we're just so in love with this idea of how we can build community with you all. So that said, go ahead, Tim. You want to add?
Maggie, I'll take it over. I'll introduce Chip real quick, but just before, we did get a question from Larry. And Larry, thanks for asking that. An important question. Larry, you're right. Is Haiti off limits for now? I know you've done some great tours there in the past. Thank you for mentioning that, Larry. We have been working, Clowns Without Borders USA has been working in Haiti since 2005. We've had a lot of really extraordinary opportunities. I've lost count on all the work. That was before the 2010 earthquake. We did a ton of work right after the 2010 earthquake. Haiti is, as many of you all know, there's a lot going on. It's extremely violent in a lot of places, and we currently don't have access to send a clown team there right now. But as Maggie mentioned earlier, and if you're just hopping on, we're here with Clowns Without Borders talking about our Joy Makers work. We've realized that the amount of money that our Joy Makers alone, our Joy Makers, our monthly donors to Clowns Without Borders, that is enough to fund a tour in itself. And so as we keep our contacts and work with folks in Haiti, if we see a window of opportunity and if we're able to raise enough with our Joy Makers campaign, I would love, as interim executive director, to send a team back to Haiti as soon as possible. So Larry, it's not off limits per se. We're not able to get in there right now because of the violence that's going on. And I also want to name, we had some colleagues. I saw a Palestinian flag on one of the person's names that came up earlier. We are working and doing our best to try to support children that are suffering the ongoing violence, genocide in Gaza and Palestine. Again, we're not able to send clowns in right now, but we are talking with other partners and teams because we do know that laughter transcends boundaries, it transcends borders. We know that the shortest distance between two hearts is laughter. And we also know, sadly, that children are suffering profoundly right now in Palestine, in Sudan, in Haiti, in many places around the world. So there are, Larry, some places that we can't get into right now, but that doesn't mean we're not trying. And so thanks for asking that question. That means a lot, Larry. Maggie, if it's okay, I'd love to maybe introduce our next guest, Chip.
Yes.
Next guest, Chip. That's a lot to say. Next guest, Chip. Chip Daly reached out to me just a few months ago, and I've been fascinated in learning more and more about Chip. And Chip, you can share some of your background as well, but a few things fascinate me about Chip. Chip has been a Joy Maker with Clowns Without Borders for 8 years and running. And that was even before we had the Joy Makers title, which is to say Chip has been a monthly regular donor to Clowns Without Borders, helping sustain the work that we've done, performing for thousands of children around the world, going to different countries, and hopefully we have some time to talk about this later, even working in the US, which is the country where this Clowns Without Borders chapter is based in. Chip has done tons of international work as a performing artist. As a clown, he's seen some amazing things around the world and at home. And what I really love about getting to know Chip better, Chip is also a nurse. And many of you in the audience might not know, I'm also a nurse. And I worked with Clowns Without Borders starting in 2002. And it was working with Clowns Without Borders that inspired me to go back to school and study nursing. And so, Chip, we are thrilled to have you, a nurse, a clown. If you mix a nurse and a clown, it makes a noun, maybe. Chip, welcome to the conversation today. Thank you so much,
Chip,
for being a Joy Maker. We're glad you're here. Chip's coming all the way in from Wisconsin. Chip, I'd love to start with a question. What makes you a Joy Maker, and why are you a Joy Maker? What brings you to this?
Oh my God, so many reasons. We don't have enough time for the whole answer, but the very short, basic answer, in my opinion, is in this day and age, who doesn't want to be a maker of joy? I mean, just the fact that I give a little bit of tiny money every month makes me a joy maker and allows me to bring joy to a child I'll never meet or a parent that'll around the world I will never meet. It's powerful for the soul and for the human spirit. And as a clown, I have great experience with that type of work. Even though I've never done anything with Clowns Without Borders, I still have friends who do humanitarian clowning around the world, and I've done some on my own. And so I know what it does. And we can't quantify the exact amount of people we reach, but I know that clowns reach other people. And the fact, again, that I give just a little bit of money a month makes me a joy maker and makes clowns be able to go to places and help people like that. You just can't even, it's hard to express completely with words. You just feel it in your heart and your soul. And I think anyone who becomes a joy maker will feel it as well and know that you are making a big difference, whether you give $1, $1,000, $2, whatever it is you can give it. And I think you'll be happy that you do.
Cool. Thanks so much for that, Chip. Chip, I saw one comment. This is from Larry, mentioning that noun sounds better than clers. So your nurse clown mixture, if you're okay with it, we'll stick with noun versus clers, because that clers sounds like hearse, and that's
yeah,
a whole different
that's
thing.
good. Thanks, Larry. That's a good point. Yeah, good idea.
Hey, Chip, in your experience in working as a clown internationally, working in a hospital as a nurse, and you talked about before we started this live, how you have time to engage with kids in the hospital and bring some laughter and joy. Can you tell us a little bit maybe about an experience in which you connected with a child in playfulness and laughter, and how it changed the child or changed you or changed everybody around you? What was that like?
Well, I mean, in the hospital, I'm a nurse, so I'm technically not a clown, but I do have puppets and props that I use. And before surgery, kids are really nervous. And just a few weeks ago, I had a kid who came in, and he is 3, and he is just crying, and he's like visibly freaking out. And you can see the fear in his mom's eyes because her kid's going to be taken away from her to have surgery. So I brought out a puppet, and, you know, it's clowns. We try different things, this and that, until it works. And I found the one thing with my one puppet that he loved, and he giggled so loud, so much. And then I'd stop and he'd stop. And then I'd do it again. I would just come back to the same gig. I used the same gig 15 times before he went back to surgery. And every time he just belly laughed, and you could see his mom's whole face. just relax. And so they give the kid a little medicine to relax him, take him off to surgery. And the thing that really drove this home to me was I was walking the mom out to our waiting room where she's going to wait for her child after surgery. And she looks at me and she just basically said, "Thank you so much. That is exactly what he needed in that moment. And I want to thank you for helping my child get through this," or whatever. I can't remember the exact wording, but and that's why I keep doing it. Like things like that just drive it home. And it happens quite often to me. I have a really great international story if we have time for it, but
let's do it.
So I go to Russia. I've been going to Russia almost every year for 20 years because I have a friend who runs a nonprofit there called Maria's Children and works with orphans with arts. And then she goes to a small town in southern Russia called Beslan. Beslan, for people who don't know, the quick story is their school was seized by terrorists in 2004. 1,200 people were held hostage. In the end, 334 people were killed, including 186 children. Horrible tragedy. On the flip side, 800 people survived it, watched their parents, their students, their teachers be killed, and now they have to live with that. So my friend Maria takes people to Beslan every year, a group of clowns like me. And so this happened in 2004. In 2007, I went to a summer camp that Maria had, and some of the Beslan kids came. And to me, it was just a normal, everyday experience. I played with kids. We all laughed for 12 days. They went to Beslan. I came home. Well, then 2 years after that, I decided to go actually to Beslan and clown with the kids in the school. And when I got there, one of the teachers, Nadia, I hadn't even met her yet. And she came up and hugged me and just was like crying and giving me a big thank you. And I'm like, okay, hi, Nadia. Nice to meet you. Turns out her daughter, Ira, so Nadia is a teacher in the school. Her daughter, Ira, was a student at the time during this attack, and she was at summer camp. Two of Nadia's children, two of Ira's siblings were killed in the attack. So what I was told through translation is from 2004, September 2004, till July 2007, when I met Ira at summer camp, she never laughed. She never smiled. She just didn't want to engage in life. She still lived, but she just had after the summer camp, she went home apparently and was like laughing every day and telling stories and engaging in things. And basically she told her mom it was because of me. Of course, there were 20 other clowns at the camp. I just happened to be like the father, the head of the family group that she was in. So she connected with me more. But at the time, I would never have known that I made that kind of impact on her. And now 20 years after the attack, she's a psychologist making doing great work in Moscow. She's married. Her mom still teaches. Well, she's retired, but she's still involved with the school. And so that one little interaction of clowning for 12 days with her completely flipped her life 180 degrees. And I would never have known if Nadia hadn't come up and told me that. And so anytime I clown, anytime I go to Russia, those kind of stories, and especially Ira and Nadia, just make me want to keep doing it and keep supporting the Clowns Without Borders who can do the work in other countries that I don't get to go to.
Wow, Chip, that's powerful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hear a couple of things in that, Chip. One is relief of suffering through laughter, of what you were able to do at this camp and what you were able to do with that patient too. That patient suffering in fear, but the patient's mother's suffering in fear. And then when it sounds like from these stories too, when you can help relieve suffering through laughter, it does have a lasting impact, which could present itself in someone having a really successful life despite the traumas they've been through.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Really, thank you
so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think also about the ripple effect,
Yes.
You met with this one class, but really all their families that when they go home and how they can, that transfers that joy they experienced and what it opens up for them emotionally transfers to their family and to their community. And we really have no idea how much of an effect that one interaction can have.
Right. I agree. And I've been to Beslan many, many times now, and I've seen the community. Like I've walked around the community. We walk from our hotel to the school. Now we stay with friends and we walk so we see these people in the market, and they're all so grateful to the clowns. Even if they weren't involved in the tragedy, it affected the whole town, and the clowns helped relieve the whole town. And And also to drive the point home that you never know when you've actually touched someone. So you may leave Syria or you may leave Greece or wherever and not realize how much of an impact you've made. And believe me, you've made an impact. And if you just make an impact on one person, it's so worth it. And so, yeah, I would say keep doing it as long as we can do it, basically.
Yeah. You know, and I think, Chip, for those of us on the call who aren't clowns, I'm seeing a lot of hearts, by the way, a lot of sweet responses to when you were sharing your story. Thank you all. You know, I think about like, you might not be a clown and you might not be a performing artist, but you might really be inspired by this work and you will have no idea what your impacts will bring. But that donation of $5 a month, $10 a month, Maggie said the average for our Joy Makers is $18 a month. $18 a month can help translate and build out to an entire tour in which we can send a group of professionally trained artists, performing artists and clowns to go into refugee camps, places of suffering, war zones, to share laughter. So your impacts, even if they seem small, we can't measure them, but we can guarantee, I think the three of us on this call for sure, and other people listening, guarantee that those impacts are profound. Maggie,
greater than the parts.
Yeah, that's right. The sum is greater than the parts, as you mentioned in the beginning, and we're living it right now. Yeah, Maggie, I see a question from David. I'll read that if that's cool with you.
Great.
David says, I'm always curious whether clowns on the ground have to make choices about what routines might be appropriate or inappropriate there.
You could.
Chip, do you want to answer that? I've got some thoughts on that too, but Chip,
again, I've never done with Clowns Without Borders, but just from my personal experience, we always have local people who know the culture, and clowns are human. We make mistakes, and sometimes you do something that maybe is wrong, and then you just have a discussion about it. Like you have your friends say, "Oh, that's not a good idea, Chip," and then you're like, "Okay," and you apologize, and then you hug it out, but you try and educate yourself before you get there as much as you can. But everyone's learning as we go too, so don't be afraid, but also be aware and know the culture, because some cultures do things differently. And that's the beauty of the world. That's what I love about traveling, is meeting all these different things and people that do things totally different than what I did growing up. And people would come to my place and do things, maybe it would offend me, but I'd be okay. Like I'd be okay, that's not how we do it. And you just talk it out and then figure it out. And then the next time, don't do it, and just learn as you go.
Yeah. Part of our vision, thanks for that, Chip. Part of our vision with Clowns Without Borders too is we perform from a place of cultural humility, where we bring professional actors, artists into places of crisis, and we do our best to meet with local partners. Sometimes we even talk through the show ahead of time and check in with local partners. And in case there's something that might be uneasy or offensive, we also try to get ahead of that if we can. But as Chip mentioned too, if something comes up that makes someone feel uneasy, it's all about talking it through, understanding what we did, and trying to be, as funny as possible and out there as possible, but also humble as possible and respecting the cultures in which we're practicing. It's not a perfect art. But like as Chip mentioned, we just have to keep asking those questions. I see a partner of ours that just joined in, who sponsored much of our work in Kurdistan over the last few years. Tara, thanks for joining. It's nice to see you. And she's seen the work firsthand. She's a human rights lawyer who is saving lives by defending the rights of people whose rights have been taken away. And so it takes a village to bring laughter. I see another comment here from Stefa Krasinski. Maggie, I might go ahead and read that out.
Please.
Maybe we'll see how that contributes to the conversation. So Steph writes, I've been learning about polyvagal theory and the mental and physical health issues of being stuck in flight, fright, and freeze modes, and the healing power of laughter and joy to get us out of flight, fright, or freeze. It's so true. It's like laughter not only makes us feel good emotionally, spiritually, if that's a word you use, but there's so much good evidence, as Steph points out, that it changes the way our bodies function and reduces flight, fright, freeze, or flip the freak out. I don't know if that's the fourth or fifth or sixth F. And it lowers our body's stress, and stress causes suffering. And so, Steph, you brought up a great point. It goes back to laughter reduces suffering by reducing stress. Our bodies are made to do it. It's scientific too, huh?
Yes. Absolutely.
Makes it super
Thanks,
fun.
Thank you. I like that take on it.
Maggie, I don't see any other questions coming through. Do you have any other questions, or I'll toss it back your way?
All right. Well, I think that we will wrap up our live at this point. If you want to stick with us, Chip, you're welcome to stick with us. But we wanted to ask people what they think about this format, and we want to ask. Well, actually, before we end, did we want to have a little piece where we asking about the laughter game? Is it the laughter game, Chip? You still want to do that?
Sure.
Okay. We have a little laughter game. Okay. Chip or Tim? Yeah. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right. You had something in mind in particular that you were going to ask.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard you say Chip, and I said me, and I did have something in mind I was going to ask too. But Chip, if you just want to improvise with a game, we welcome that too.
Nope.
So
it's all you, Tim.
Folks that are just hopping on, or folks that have been here, we're going to wrap with sort of an interactive thing. And as we do it, this is also a reminder. This is the first of our Instagram lives. And if you like this, let us know. We'll keep doing it. Today is April 1st. It's April Fool's Day. But folks, this is no joke that we are starting a really big fundraiser this month called Joy Makers, in which we are trying to encourage people to become monthly donors, regular donors of any amount of money that you can give to support the work of Clowns Without Borders, knowing that it is our Joy Makers that bring in enough funds to fund one entire tour. So hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have enough Joy Makers. We're going to double the number of Joy Makers and have enough to fund 2 entire tours. But to do that, a question for you all in the group. Oh, Tara, we see your note here. Thank you for bringing us out to Kurdistan and the amazing work that you've done and continue to do. So we got a question for you all in the audience. If anybody wants to hop on the chat and let us know, when you think about a time that you've laughed, what has made you laugh and how did you feel? When you think about a time when you laughed, what has made you laugh and then how did you feel? And so if you want to hop on the chat here, we'll read chats as they come through. And I'm going to put Chip or Maggie on the spot and ask you all as we wait for some comments. When you all have laughed, what made you laugh and how did you feel? What was that like?
Well, I mean, so many things make me laugh. Nervousness makes me laugh. But when I'm nervous, I laugh and then I feel relaxed. So it actually helps me with my nerves. But it's kind of a funny thing because you're like nervous and you're like, and it's a fake laugh. And we have a thing, I don't know if you know about laughter yoga, but it's called fake it till you make it. So you can fake laugh and that'll induce real laughter and actually induce all these chemical changes in your body. And so the things that make me laugh most are kids, basically, because I work with kids as a nurse. And then other clowns, of course. And after laughing, I just always feel better, always, no matter what's going on. It could be the worst day in the world in my simple little life to me, like spilling my coffee. Oh my God, that's horrible. But then if I laugh, it's like, oh, I'll just go get another cup of coffee. It's good.
Yeah.
I love that.
Love it. Maggie, how about you? Is there anything that makes you laugh? Or how do you feel?
I have to agree with Chip that like kids make me laugh, and particularly my own. So since I see him all the time, and I think now that he's 11, I'm hearing all these just the one sentence comments that are just hilarious. I can't think of one right now, of course, but it's on a daily basis that he's he's just got like a quick quip that is just so much fun, and it's still sweet, which I love. At 11, there's still just I don't know. they're fun and they're not offending anyone. They're just really sweet. So yeah. And how does it make me feel? Oh my gosh. It's always just what I need. We're always looking for reasons to laugh in my house. So yeah.
I love it. I see a couple other comments. One person writes, reading with your kids says, hearing my kids laugh made me laugh, hearing a lot of themes here. And then David writes, my daughter was maybe 2 weeks old. My wife and I were just brain dead, exhausted, etc. And our daughter was napping and grabbed a pair of googly eyes. And David grabbed a pair of googly eyes and put them over her eyelids. And then David and his wife laughed uncontrollably for 20 minutes. And he writes, it was the most healing thing.
Wow.
Imagine
beautiful.
Your ability to share that with someone else. Imagine your ability, whether you're a nurse, a photographer, a clown, an accountant, a human rights lawyer, whoever you are or whatever you do. Imagine that we all have that ability to engage someone and evoke a sense of laughter. And one way is to join Clowns Without Borders and become a monthly donor and be a joy maker. You could do a one-time donation too, but know that your dollars can also help share this laughter and the feeling that you all have felt when you've experienced laughter, when your child has said something funny or done something unpredictable and you've just been stressed out and afraid. I think about the kid, Chip, you talked about in the hospital and whose mom was afraid and the child was afraid too. And then the laughter helped reduce that fear and release that suffering. So everybody, if you're breathing, you can laugh. And if you're laughing, you can breathe. And if you're breathing, you can keep laughing. And you can also support Clowns Without Borders in any way that you can. I see a comment here about laughter yoga from Steph. Yeah, seeing adults in laughter yoga being vulnerably absurd. I feel so alive and present. Yeah, laughter is kind of absurd, isn't it?
It's
And
so
how
dumb, it's so
beautiful.
funny.
Yeah.
And I have to say, there's not many organizations that you can give to and you know your gift is laughter.
Yeah.
And you know, every day before you go to bed at night, you know that even if you had a stressful day, your gift is right at that moment working to bring laughter to someone around the world who really is in a situation dealing with displacement and maybe the displacement due to conflict or climate change. And you made that happen. And you have that every day. Every day you can rely on it.
Great point.
You're giving the laughter.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chip, for being here. And let's do our quick poll before we leave. Yeah. If you would put in the chat just A, B, C, or D, what types of live content would you like to hear? Would you like more of in the future? So A, more interviews, B, more games, C, more impact stories, D, anything you want. Tell us.
I'm typing this in the chat too.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
A is more interviews, B, more games, C, more impact stories, or D, something else altogether. So you could just put A, B, C, or D. You don't have to write the whole thing.
Chip says all of the above. I love that. That's option F, right? I love it. I'm seeing Maggie. I'm seeing C. I'm seeing A and C.
Super. Super. Keep them coming.
I see a CWB. Right.
Awesome. Wow. Well, it's incredible. We're at 55 minutes into the live, though we had a 5-minute delay. But thank you all for being here. Thank you, Chip and
Absolutely.
Josie, for being our special guests today. It was incredible to have you here. Your insights were invaluable. And yeah, just it's so nice to spend time with you.
You're welcome. And thank you to all the clowns and Maggie and Tim for doing what you do. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Bye, everybody.
We will see you all again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.